Can we put that on tape?
Oh, absolutely. All right. We're at Podfest hanging out with my homie Tanya, and I got questions for you.
Uh-oh.
All right. So, first question I have is what does being a creator mean to you?
Oh, wow. So to me, it's about being able to embrace this whole idea of just freedom, right? Freedom to be able to take whatever's in your head and to make it actually be real.
I like that. I like that. Okay. So, what has being a creator taught you
Mm-hmm.
that, maybe otherwise you wouldn't have necessarily recognize?
Ooh, that there's a lot to that, but I'll give maybe a couple of things. One, it taught me that I'm much more powerful than I ever thought I was. It gave me the ability to really say, instead of saying using introversion as an excuse and being somebody who's, quiet and not as, outgoing as other people, it gave me the ability to move all that stuff aside and to say, I can still show up. I'm just going to show up differently.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is my favorite. I love when people talk about the introversion thing because I have a belief and it makes a lot of sense because, we folks. And when you folks, you can't put on that I'm cool with this people when you ain't cool with this people.
Yep.
It's just absolutely impossible,
It
right?
don't happen.
Right. I don't, that whole saying, I don't with this person and this person don't F with this person
Yep.
I F with, right?
Yep.
So I think that introverts are extroverts that don't like their present company. I think we just use that word because it sounds like a good, safe thing. But I think really what it is because when you're around your people, you're a whole different vibe, right?
It's true.
So you're not really introverted. I also don't believe no one's really shy. But when you're a child and, when your kids will hide behind your leg because mom is safe, they're curious, but they want to be curious from a point of safety. It's like in the car, yelling at people in the car, like, why'd you cut me off? And then when I get out, they're like, oh, never mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's funny, right? They all got mouth until you get out the car. And they're like, oh, I didn't know he was 6'12". So I really believe that a lot of those words that we've adopted were put on us because our parents didn't know better. They were just repeating what they learned. But I don't really think anyone's technically shy. I think you start to, what is that word? Self-fulfill that word because you heard so many people say it.
Yeah.
And then you go to school and you learn the definition and then you just match it.
Well, I've never been shy. So
I know this is
I never
obvious.
adopt that.
This is obvious.
So shyness is not an issue. But I did study, well, my bachelor's was in psych before I did my master's in business.
Up.
Right? So
Okay.
for me, the introversion thing, because I also was a qualified Myers-Briggs facilitator, the introverted piece is not so much about being shy. For me, it's about how do I process information? So I process information internally.
Yes.
So I'm going to be a little bit more quiet while I'm processing.
You're working it through.
Yeah, I'm working it through. So I'm looking at the lay of the land. I'm looking at the people. I'm scoping out how do I want to engage. Whereas extroverted people, in my experience, tend to do that out loud. Like they're processing out loud.
Well, we've also had to form. We couldn't just come out and just be ourselves originally. Sometimes we had to code switch. I love that word the most because it's safer than what I used to call it. But we used to have to code switch a lot.
Yeah.
And so we needed to kind of kick back and be like, I got to make sure that I don't offend this person or make this person scared of me.
Yes.
But I'm coming for them, but I can't let them know I'm coming for them.
Right.
Kind of thing. You got to kind of vibrate a little different.
I'm going to come for them under the radar so they may not even see it coming.
Okay. So this is funny. Like I had a whole different set of questions, but I tell you people, this is why you'll write your questions down because when somebody takes you somewhere, follow that right here. So now we're in cruise control with Tanya. I have avoided Myers-Briggs like the plague. And everybody says you should do it. And I was like, I don't want to be INOJ because I like that song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry. But I've avoided it like the plague because I don't want to self-fulfill something that I do. And I also realized when you take self-tests, you self-edit. So you never really getting the real thing. And I've been told, well, there's enough questions in there that when you try to do that, it'll still math out. But I'm like, I'm scared for them to tell me I'm something because I don't want to try to fit that.
Yeah.
I want to be Bruce Lee, water in a bottle.
But it's never intended to tell you who you're supposed to be. It's supposed to give you a guide so that you can say, okay, if these are things that I like and I gravitate towards in this moment, because here's the thing, as much as I was an INTJ years ago, there's a different level of those things
Okay.
at 20 years,
Just like anything.
20 years later. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it gives me kind of a roadmap so I can say, okay, if this is a potential roadblock for me, how can I work around that?
I feel this.
Right. So instead of it being used, because I think that's the problem, is some people use that as, well, it's just who I am and I can't change.
No.
Instead of, that whole growth fixed mindset thing, instead of having the growth mindset, they're in the fixed mindset.
They're like trying to just,
this is my box and you can't move me out of this no matter what you do. But with the growth mindset person, if you take that information and you're consuming that information and saying, okay, now how can I empower myself with some of these things that I see are showing up as roadblocks?
I like it.
Moving
that
out
makes
of my
a
way.
lot more sense. Okay, so on the creator tip, this is so good. Like my brain just went kang, 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 chain, chain, chain. Sorry, let me not get musical Tourette's right now. As a creator, what would the current, because what you just said, what would the current Tanya say to the beginning Tanya about this whole creator vibe?
Because the beginning Tanya was like, don't you ever put me on video. The beginning Tanya was like, I just do behind the scenes stuff. I don't network. I don't do. So I was that fixed mindset person. I was.
Yes.
The current creator Tanya would say to that Tanya, look, girl, just show up. Show up. Whoever you are, be that. It's like the old Tanya would be, okay, I'm just trying to fit into everybody else's space and do what they do. So when I would go to networking events and such like that, I'd be trying to follow what other people were doing and collect all these business cards. And I'd walk away with you remember those old red wagons?
Yes.
Yeah, a red wagon full of doggone business cards. And I knew I was never going to follow up with anybody. Those people.
Right.
What I realized is that for me, it was more about going deep and not broad. So when I have these conversations now, I don't even carry business cards.
Me neither.
Right?
Yeah. It's like the people that I really connect with, I know right away.
Correct.
And then I'll follow up them.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? Oh my God. I absolutely love this. Again, the brain is just going crazy right now because I think I just realized something in what you said. I think women, especially women of color, are people too. It's not just women, but I know it more so in women. I know it more so in people of color that we will often defend who we are because we've always been told we're not allowed to be who we are.
Yes.
Sometimes we over defend the position.
Yeah.
And what you fight for, you will win because that's what you're fighting for. So if you fight for, I don't network and I don't talk to people and I don't do this and I don't do that, you could be blocking yourself from the next big top model, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
All right. So last thing, past and present.
Okay.
Who's a creator that highly impacts you, say past, and a creator that highly impacts you present?
Gosh, wow. Present, there's a whole list of people that I really respect, but I'd say Stephanie Garcia is near the top.
That's my mentor.
Yeah, she's amazing because I see her constantly pushing people to be better.
Yes.
I see her, to me, she's another version of me that I want to see, right?
Right.
She's a person.
Representation.
Yeah.
Okay.
She definitely, she's all about representation. She's 100%. All about pulling people along. And she's so stinking knowledgeable.
Right.
So everything she does, she's thinking, okay, that's an idea. Let me figure out how I can make that blossom out. And then I'll move to the next thing. But she finishes. She doesn't just stop, right? So I love her.
I'm about to walk off my own interview because she says she finishes. And I think a lot of people don't catch that.
Yeah.
She finishes.
She executes, she finishes, she brings that idea to actual fruition instead of just like, okay, I got this idea. And then you go 3/4 of the way and you never quite end up with the outcome that you said you wanted. That's not her. She's the total opposite of that.
Yes.
I think previously, when I first started coaching almost 20 years ago now, there were people that weren't creators necessarily that were big influencers for me, like Wayne Dyer, Zig Ziglar.
Zig is my guy.
Right. So there were people, Jim Rohn's quotes, I still pull from those because they really just fed my soul. And I realized I couldn't make excuses anymore about who I was. Right. And they weren't creators, but they were thought leaders.
Oh, yeah. Well, I also think they're big time creators in a sense, but it was just a different time and space.
Yeah.
So here's what's funny when you say that about like how Stephanie finishes, because my biggest takeaway from Zig was don't be stuck in the squat. Like you don't want to be that hard biscuit. Just the way you said that, like you got to get that chance to rise and then do your thing. Do never be stuck in this squat. I think I live by that to this very day.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with our people love to overthink, right?
Yeah.
Talking any creators are always overthinking.
Yes,
So
including myself at times.
all right, so this is cool. Like we get to go to all kind of events. We always get to hang out. And I was like, I'm going to interview Tan as soon as I see you. So how do people find you?
They can go to streamlikeaboss.tv
Like a
/
boss.
links. And links will give you a page full of wherever you want to go. If you want to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., YouTube for sure. You can go to that page and you'll find whatever you need in whatever way you choose to contact.
All right, that's cool. If you need to give one word, one word that people should just stick in their lexicon and start to put that into action in order to be better, what would it be?
Gosh, I was going to say streamline, but I know that's your word of the year.
That's my word of the year.
So I can't
100%.
use that.
You can absolutely use it. That's my word of the year. I'm going in. Because I'm like you. Like, I like things.
Yeah.
So I be collecting. And I'm like, yo, stop it.
Yes.
Like, stop it. My square footage in my brain is very expensive right now. This is some very expensive, like, Manhattan penthouse up here. I got no more space for craziness. So I got to be very delicate with what I put in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So you can use that if you
I'm
want.
all about that. To me, it is the same thing that you just said, everything and more. The idea for me in terms of streamlining, right now I'm in this phase of my life where I could be an empty nester in another year or so. You know, I got options and opportunities. So you know what? I'll use a different word. For me, possibilities.
Nice.
Yeah, possibilities.
I like that. Possibilities. I like it. Super cool.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Cool. Anytime.
All right, guys, you heard it first. And you know what they say. Right about now, the algorithm will share another video I think you should watch. I agree with him.
I need to know everything. Who and the what and the where. I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George. I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse. I'm ready for war. I'm coming for throats to turn to a ghost. I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet.